Okay, so our Singapore government has been going around meeting the people, meet the people session, a very serious fashion, trying to hear the voices on the ground and establish this new movement called Forward Singapore. Right? So today we are here to discuss Forward Singapore and try to understand how the budget can go about helping us define success. Right? So I am joined with Editor-in-Chief of Rise, Elias, and SG Budget Babe, Dawn. So welcome back to Wise and Shy. Wrong show. Wrong show. So yes, very happy to be in the studio with all of you. It's our Budget 2023 episode. Is Elias and Don. You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, sumimasen. I am sorry, I just came back from Japan yesterday. So I am the editor-in-chief of Rise Media, and I thank Don and Reggie for inviting me here.
I'm Dawn. I run a financial blog which is called Budget Babe, but I don't cover the budget.
No, you're here today to cover the budget.
Yeah, like our individual budgets and finances. Yeah.
Nice, great, good stuff. Any thoughts about Forward Singapore? Okay, so I think my view of the Forward SG movement, it is an attempt to try to get a more structured way to listen to the ground, right? Because sometimes when you run a government, you listen through a lot of different layers, sometimes lost in translation. Right, so I think it's an attempt for the government to actually go to the ground, which you see, right, in a lot of the pictures and a lot of the ideas that come out. When the ideas come out, you feel like, oh yeah, actually they're listening, right? Like it's more
for the
it's
people
more,
to feel heard.
Yes, more on the ground, right? So I think it's a movement to gather the information directly from the ground to then translate into policy, or at least that's what they say, and I hope that actually happens, translate into policy. Right, and to kind of move beyond just bureaucratic, processes.
It's just bringing the awareness that hey, we are inclusive to everyone's kind of needs and evolving needs during post-pandemic.
And hopefully not just awareness,
actually
doing
inclusive.
Yes.
I always very cautious of media people. Like feely, no, like actually we get something done.
Right, cool.
I don't know. I won't comment as to whether or not it's a
everybody's so politically
thing.
correct here today.
Yes. But I feel it's a very huge undertaking.
It is.
It's difficult. And reading through what has been raised, it's not as though some of the feedback are new. Some of it have been echoed over and over again for the last don't know how many years during every budget already, but hasn't yet been implemented. And the question really is, does Forward Singapore intend to change any of that? And for those that cannot be addressed, then how can we know whether it's just just hearsay, just placate us, versus we're really trying to, but there are certain difficulties.
I think you can just talk a lot over the last couple of years and all that, but when you put it in writing, whether or not you act on it or not, as long as you put it in writing, people see it, everyone, the public can see it, other stakeholders can see it, other politicians can see it. As long as it's there, you know that it just exists lah.
It's a basis lah.
It's a basis.
It's a platform to begin with.
It's a benchmark lah.
Yes.
Whether you want to act on it or whether you want to really expand on it, or whether you want to really push all these policies that they've put in writing in that Forward SG letter or that list, right? Whether it will go forth or not, it doesn't matter. As long as it's in writing, as long as people can refer to it.
The thing is, it matters. Okay, let me put it to you why it matters. Because it's like the pledge, right? You see, the critic of the government can always take the pledge and say, oh, you not justice, no meritocracy. So when you write these kind of things, it is providing a platform and a basis for your critics and of course for your followers also.
It's accountability.
Yeah, it's accountability. So you pin it down. So I don't think it's useless lah, right? So I think there's basis for it. That's why we're here to discuss. Right? And of course I want to focus on today's discussion on defining success, right? Because I think that's a very big theme in Forward Singapore, and also by extension that how is the budget going to help us with defining our success, our era. It's our turn, right? So I think it's our turn. I almost so I think that's the idea here. But before we go there, maybe establish how Singaporean are you to represent the Singapore public to talk about this?
Must justify yourself.
Must justify. Yes. What is your position?
So I will justify my position in that I'm so Singaporean I can curse in all the languages.
Wow. Yes. Don't try that out now.
Try that out now? I can curse in all the languages, all 4 languages. Also, additionally, Filipino, Hindi, and Armenian as well. If you ask me for it.
Why?
You just have to know lah. You just have to know lah.
Okay.
And also because I guess I was appointed as the editor-in-chief as Rice Media, and of course we always are writing about the important pertinent issues of Singapore current affairs. So I think I'm pretty much justified to sit down here next to you guys.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. And to be fair, there's a very big Armenian population here in Singapore. That's a different discussion. Yes. Yeah.
I'm so Singaporean that it's in my name, right? SG Budget Babe.
Okay.
No, but
That's on your IC.
Yeah,
no. I mean, my whole moniker and all. But I think other than that, I am very proud to be Singaporean. So I'm super Singaporean. Under, the typical national days, hear the song, then we'll cry, we'll sing, and, I'm so glad to be Singapore. But then other than that, they never do anything.
You know who's the original singer of Home?
I know, Kit Chan.
Okay.
See,
She's still relevant, huh? She's still relevant.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Kit. Yes.
I also love my Singaporean food, and I always come home one.
Name one Singaporean food.
One only I
Name
cannot.
all the Singaporean food.
Also many.
Name one that you think is uniquely Singapore.
Wow, but that's a whole cultural debate on whether
Exactly.
it is,
That was what I was trying to force you
like,
into. Yes.
roti prata,
Yes.
Singaporean or Indian,
Yes.
nasi lemak, Malaysia,
Yeah,
Singapore, which
Correct.
one, chicken
Correct.
rice, China, Singapore, you're so difficult to fight.
Correct.
Okay, fair. Okay, never mind. I don't let you get cancelled. Okay, so yeah, I give it to you. I don't need to substantiate.
Why?
I don't know how to
Say something.
No, that's the thing that I'm struggling with. Like, what is Singapore? What is my Singaporean identity? What does it mean to be Singaporean? And that's the part that I feel like is very alienating. It's like I think a lot of people feel like, the Singapore dream. Okay, let's say the Singapore dream, like what buy HDB, that one, all that, right? When you tell people this is a Singaporean dream, the eyes are a bit like rolled.
Singapore dream not the 5 C's, man.
Like a bit sian, Yeah, 5
HDB
C's also.
inside, meh?
5 C's also
It's
that, right?
condo,
Yeah,
not
condo, yes,
HDB.
not HDB. So I mean, and the idea here is, I don't feel very attached to it yet.
It's not relevant to you anymore.
Yeah, it's not say anymore. It's not maybe yet. Like, it's not there yet, right? So I feel like the discussion today is an imperative. Like, it's very important because I'm sure a big swath of the millennials and the younger generation feel the same. To them, it's like, what does it mean to be successful? What does it mean to be Singaporean? What is the Singaporean identity? How should we spend our money? How should we drive our country?
For sure.
And all that is a real discussion. And that's why I want to talk about it today. And I found out over time, every time the questions I put out, I really don't have an answer. It's like, I want to ask, that's why I asked.
It's an ongoing
Right,
reflection.
Yeah. It is an ongoing. So today, if we focus on defining success or redefining success for our fellow Singaporeans together, what is success to you? And are you successful to begin with?
It's a bit hard to say because the definition of success is always evolving, right? But I guess for me, as a Singaporean, I guess I would say I am objectively, in the Singapore sense, successful.
Why?
Because, first of all, I recognize my privilege. I'm married. I have my own house. I have a good career that supports my middle income dreams.
Can it be extended to everybody out of set? is this dream extended to everyone? Editor-in-chief?
I would hope so.
Okay,
I would hope so. We shall have a review after this.
After action review. No stress. Yes. Continue.
But yeah, like, I basically have all the things that any Singaporean wants: a home, a roof over their heads, enough money to go traveling. I mean, I just came back from Japan. That's the basic Singaporean marker of success, right? You can travel to Japan anytime you like. Say sumimasen, say gomenasai, that kind of stuff. All that kind of stuff.
So are you successful?
Yes,
then?
are you successful?
Are you successful?
I think I began the large part of my life conforming to like the standards of success that were set upon us. Right? Like when you go to school, so when you're young, success to your parents and to the kid means you must be 乖 lah. Right? Must be a very good kid.
But do you say that to your kid? 你要乖.
Never,
do you say,
never.
okay, good.
Then never ponteng, never go like discipline master hearing all that kind. Never gonna, what's that, detention? That's the
Never
young
go
one.
jail.
You're very extreme.
we going there. We going, control yourself. Yes, please.
Then after that, as you get through the education system, it's about like doing well in school. So quite lucky in a sense. But I must say this first, otherwise I get cancelled. I am not smart. I don't think I was not born smart.
I think that one will get you cancelled. I think that line gets you cancelled.
I don't have smart genes, okay? So it's really through hard work. So I'm very thankful for the whole Singapore system whereby if you work hard, you can succeed. Just that I do recognize, I think in recent years that is starting to shift. That even hard work alone may not be enough. Whereas in our time, hard work mattered for a lot. So, like typical straight A student and then go out there, get a white collar job. That is the traditional definition, right? Academic success plus get a job. And then after that, go and get married at your house. So it's very old school kind of successful definition. But today, I think that is changing. It's something that I keep questioning. But to answer that question, yes, I would say I'm successful. I define it by my own standards, which may not necessarily be what society's standard is.
Oh, like the marker would be like what your parents think is like a successful benchmark, right? Yeah. Like, are you kind of like aligning together with what your parents think is successful, or are you aligning to what you think is like success in Singapore?
Why is parent your barometer?
I don't know,
like the eyes of your parents.
The eyes of our parents. Because
that's exactly what you said, right? If your parents accept that you are successful, then you are successful. So by extension, you are allowing your parents to define your success. I'm more curious why.
At first, yeah. Okay, when I started off, because I've been in the media industry for like 10 years or so. So after graduation, I was interning at this music journalism website called Bandwagon.
Is it still around?
Still around.
Okay,
it's even bigger right now.
Wow.
Okay. I was interning. I was one of the first few like writers for Bandwagon, and I was an intern. I was earning like $400 a month, that kind of stuff. I don't know whether it's
I don't know how.
I don't know. I don't want to say anything also.
Sometimes you look back, you realize, wow, you walk past.
Really.
It's so much. It's so hard. Yes.
And then my dad sat me down like, I don't think this is like what you should do lah. But I was trying to tell him that, interning, I'm just trying to get exposure, trying to get experience. $400 is just a bonus to me lah.
It's allowance.
Allowance, yeah.
Allowance. $400 cannot makan, yes.
I can buy a lot of like $1 ananas nasi lemak.
Now it's $2.
Oh, now it's
$2. Yes.
Inflation.
But yeah, like they didn't understand lah. Like I wanted the exposure and experience. And in that generation, I don't think they saw that kind of like value in having experience. I'm not sure like how you guys started off like after graduation and all that.
I think it's also the fact that we chose pretty unconventional paths to what that generation was used to. They are all about like the manufacturing factory worker, because that's the era that they grew up in, right? But for ours, it's like I can resonate because I also love the media industry. I studied media, but my parents were very against me working in the media. And I think today that is a little bit more acceptable because things like, rice media, content creator, these have all become bigger, and YouTubers have shown that you can earn very good money. OnlyFans also, but let's not go there. I think it's now becoming a bit more...
people just saying, it's very hard, across the screen, you want to excite other people. Cannot lie. If I can, I will, but cannot.
Back to discussion. So I think it's about like, at that time when it's unconventional, then what does the individual do? Do you give up on it because it's not defined as success and you try to build your own way like what we have done? Or do you just, just bow down and then go down the traditional success definition? I shall not work in the media. Even though I really like it, I shall go and work in, corporate.
Yes. So exactly, I think that's the discussion that we want to have today based on the Forward SG. Wow, I feel like very sponsored. Like macam Forward SG sponsor us, but haven't. Okay, shout out, email here. Okay, put here. Yeah. So in Forward SG, I think one of the thing is a lot of Singaporeans feel that they are stifled by this traditional yardstick of success, and you pointed it out, right? The white collar job, some of those things, right? So to you, what is the traditional yardstick of success?
I think the previous generation was 5 C's, but our generation we're still trying to define it, right?
I don't even know what's the 5 C's.
So the fact that you don't even remember it means it's not
relevant anymore.
What's the 5 C's?
Car, condo, credit card, certificate.
Not certificate.
No, certificate not important?
No,
what's certificate?
It's not. Country club membership.
Country club.
But there's one more. Is the last C cash? I don't know.
Is it last C is cash?
There's no certificate in the 5 C's.
Cash, is it?
Maybe it's cash. I don't know.
I tell you, the last C is cost. You must have a cost to fight for. Is that
Sorry, that one's
is
not in the-
new
I'm not
5C?
sure. I'm not sure.
Then your parents will ask you can earn money from your course. or not?
Okay, never mind. Okay, but then why do you think people are feeling so alienated from this traditional yardstick? I think that's a reality, right? Sometimes I listen to it, I was like who cares?
roll my eyes, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
bro,
yeah.
like why?
Yeah.
Why should I do this?
I don't know. Like, I mean, some of the C's in there are not even like relevant to us anymore. Like country club. Like, why would you wanna enroll in a country club anymore? I don't know. Do people still enroll in a country club?
When was the last time?
Yeah,
been
when
to
was
a
the last time you
country club?
visited a country
Yeah,
club?
maybe club, yes lah.
Yeah.
But okay.
Credit card, everyone can get lah.
Yeah,
Let's be honest.
It's no
lah.
longer a 5C.
Yeah, no longer 5C.
Yeah.
Condo.
It's gotten more accessible also.
Yes.
Right? A bigger
Exactly.
fraction of the
Exactly.
population have it
Yeah.
now versus the past.
Yeah. I think that's
Okay,
true.
okay. I think that's a fair
That's-
statement. Fair statement.
It's more accessible lah. It's
more
more
accessible,
accessible.
yeah.
That's a fair judgment.
What's the last C? Car.
Car, I'm okay. I got Grab already. I got Gojek. I don't need car.
So we have new solutions
Exactly.
showing
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you don't need this
so
anymore.
you all believe that it's because of all these changes that this thing not relevant anymore.
And I think also it's the fact that some of these have gotten, number one, accessible. So then if everyone has it, then that's not success, right? Because the idea of success to many people is that it has to be earned. That's why not everyone is successful.
Really?
The other
Okay.
thing is, aside from accessibility, it's also irrelevant, like what you pointed out. And the last thing is that we're also protesting against it because some of it are very hard to reach for. Like there are people who just don't want a condo because it's so expensive, they cannot afford. So they protest against it and saying, no, I don't subscribe to the 5C philosophy.
And also they have like different priorities. They might not see condo as something that
Maybe
they want.
coffee is the C.
I go for it.
Right? Coffee is the C.
Coffee is one of it.
Yes. Yeah.
Being able to afford $7
Yeah.
coffee every day, maybe that is the new standard.
No, it's not. It's being able to have your own barista set at home.
Oh.
Right. That's the new C, right?
My God.
Like Zach, right? He got a set but never
Exactly.
used, right?
Exactly.
Right? It's in the background. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, fair.
Definitely, yeah. But I don't know. What do you see as like your own marker of success aside from the 5Cs?
Okay, so I think in my view of the Singapore dream, right, or like how do you then define the success? Making money is still a must, lah.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
You must somewhere be in the median income, lah. Because the reality is, as much as we want to say like, oh, we appreciate, other people, they do the work, blah blah blah. No money means no money. No amount of thank you can change your life. That is my base case, right? So the Singaporean dream still fundamentally requires you to make money. But now I feel like the people like us, we want to make money and feel like there's meaning, more meaning to making
Purpose
money.
lah,
Yeah, there's a
purpose.
purpose, right? There's more to this than just like, make money, invest, save, buy bigger house, bigger car, blah 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 blah. Like at some point, but I understand some people say Singapore is a island of more than one city, right? 2 cities or 3 cities, however you want to say it. But I think most of our audience will fit this group, where it's like making money is like a little bit of a given. More or less is the problem, yes, but it's more than just making money, which is the very hard part, right? Because then how you want the budget to help you, right? It's like so spiritual, right? It's like,
Maslow hierarchy of needs is right at the top.
yeah. So it's so spiritual. So now are we saying that with this Forward SG movement that we bring in all these ideas, right? We tell the government of the day, like our leaders, we want all this, we want to redefine success this way. So are we expecting intervention with the budget? Are we expecting
I think to be
how
fair, we can't expect the government to help us with all these higher needs. That should be down to each individual. Like meaning and purpose and fulfillment is also very subjective.
I don't think there's like a package that will give you meaning
Confidence
to your job.
package.
Confidence
not
package.
assurance. Confidence package. I think the key is how the government can help move it forward such that we can have more people moving into this square instead of being stuck and left behind.
Okay, so it's not a direct cash handout in that sense. It's not like a package.
I think it's more of policies that can help to point the direction to where we want it to be so that we can pursue all of it. Like one example, for instance, would be family, right? In Singapore, it's very hard because, traditional success and old school definitions requires you to slog at your job and then climb the career ladder and then earn a lot of money, get promoted every few years or jump ship and earn a pay increment every few years. So it's very like stuck there. But the problem comes in that when you now start to have a family and family now becomes your priority instead of your career, then these two things are at conflict. And in Singapore, unfortunately, compared to some of the other countries, right, it is not so welcoming in a sense where you can strike a balance. Most of the time, those who strike a balance, they often sacrifice or make some trade-offs, like their mental health, or no time for themselves, or burnout, like that worker in China who died at his desk, right? So all these needs to be tackled, and I think that's where the government can step in by having policies that can point towards more of these. The problem now is that they try to encourage it, but there are no mandates, there are no consequences. But how do they draw the line, or how can they do it in such a way that companies are then more inclined to enforce instead of it being this is our brand mission, our CSR, come join us, our culture very nice, So and then when you come in already, they say, oh sorry, are you during the interview, then they ask the women, are you intending to get married soon? Or are you intending to have children? And then secretly on their list, the HR blacklists that.
Yes.
Because they know, in a few years time, this person won't be able to give the 100. Maybe I give the role to someone else instead. Yeah, so that still happens.
Right.
But do you realize the 5C got no child? Child is not part of 5C. Yeah.
Oh, was that part of it?
No,
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know. Child was never part of it. Not important. Child. Not important. You're not important. In your parents' life, you're not part of their parameter of success. Yeah. But why? Help me understand. Okay, I like that thought, right? In other words, it's like, okay, there's a career side of things, but in a lot of how we define success, there's also a big part of the family, right? Like setting up your own family unit, having a home, all that cannot fully be solved by just managing the workplace, right? Or just the career side of things, or like just more money.
It has to be mindset, it has to be all stakeholders involved. Government plays a very big role in pushing for this, but there must be some things that they push and encourage versus some that they implement. Like if we just look at going green, for example, many years ago the budget, since when you see the word, decarbonization, going green and all that, don't have, right?
Do you know there's no clear definition of sustainability?
I know.
Like the word sustainable,
because it's still so new.
Everybody can use. I can say I'm a sustainable person. Like, how do I measure? Sorry.
So anyways, also the point is that it's new, it's changing. But in the last few years, the budget, every year you see these terms coming out already.
Sustainability.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we're starting to see companies start to really comply with these changes. So why can't we do the same for things when it comes to family? To me, right, I feel a large part of how I define my own success is that I don't conform to just one barometer. And I am very conscious of the fact that people often define success as 100% or 120%, right, of your ability.
Yeah.
But I am very mindful that I am never going to be 100% in everything that I do. Number one, I'm not perfect. Number two, I'm not superwoman. Okay. And number three is just we don't have that capacity to be 100% at everything, because if you have 5 areas in your life and you're 100% for each, that's 500% of yourself that you're giving right? So what I define my own success to be is that for all the areas that matter in my life, am I my 100% effort? But that 100% effort may not translate into 100% results, right? So my employer, for example, might expect 100% from an employee who OT, never go and argue, then can have 11 p.m. calls anytime when US headquarters wants it, stuff like that. Okay, but now I'm like, nope, because that eats into my family time. So sorry, I'm going to say no to your calendar invite, and I'm always going to say no matter how many times you send me, and having the power to do that without worrying that I'm going to lose my job.
So are you then, putting your career at risk then?
I think yes and no. So it comes from how you manage that risk also, right? And how I personally do it is I put myself in a position where if my boss is unhappy and decides to fire me, then so be it lah. Okay, I still have other things to fall back on. So that's where my side hustles come in. But the other factor also comes in knowing your value. So I know if today I leave, my boss is going to struggle. Because I've added so much value in the work that I do that finding my replacement is not going to be easy, and they're going to have a transition period. So if people can manage their risk in that sense by thinking of these two factors, maybe it would be less of a risk.
But then how okay, so I get that, and there is a very individual element to it, right? That means you are putting in the effort to get it to that level, and a lot of times we can argue that the individual is an anomaly on some level, right? But from a state level, from a country level, right, what are some systems that you would hope that can be enforced, whether in the home or at the workplace, that part of the budget can go into that to set up systems like that, so that in a situation where you have to run a risk or a slight risk of losing your career, not so easy, right? Because some will argue that our labor laws are quite lax. Some will argue, not I say. Yeah, I heard from outside. Yes. So yeah, what were you?
I don't know. I think one of the biggest topics that Rise Media has kind of tackled since the pandemic is the topic of burnout. So on the topic of burnout and all that, I mean, as an employer, as one of those people in management and higher exec, with a whole team of people underneath them, I completely understand the principles of why we need to have proper, I would say even mandatory or disciplinary measures for us, like me in my position, to not abuse or not exploit people who are needing these opportunities and needing to prove their worth lah. So for example, interns, junior workers, people who are fresh grads and all that. These people, they don't actually know what the industry expects of them. And so when they come into the industry, they kind of expect I have to do this to prove my worth. I'm sure both of you guys have kind of felt that kind of tension in your first jobs. I don't know, what was your first few jobs? Was it very high expectations for you guys?
No, I enjoyed. I think it's perspective also.
Okay.
And what you want to get out of it when you evaluate what you said and experience, and even if you're underpaid, you don't care.
Yeah, no, but I think it's more important to be very tangible, right?
Tangible.
Could be can we have a national sabbatical kind of leave? Everybody gets a 2 weeks sabbatical, but because that directly hits the bottom line of companies, right? Or is it like a 4-day work week that we're looking at?
Yeah, because the way you see in Singapore, it's very focused on productivity, effectiveness of each individual worker. Maybe there should be some kind of rules, or maybe some like you said, tangible regulations that prevent people from burning out. So how it works is probably okay, after 6:30, no emails or even communication on let's say Slack, I don't know, whatever other communication tools you use. Weekends are out of bounds except for certain industries where it's 24/7, that kind of stuff. Yeah, other rules, I guess people would really appreciate the ones that you can kind of showcase to your boss, you shouldn't be bothering me on this certain hour, this certain date, because I'm on leave or it's a weekend, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I already tell you, 2 weeks sabbatical is what everybody needs. During the COVID period, everybody had mental health. Then after that, all travel Bangkok, come back, all no problem. Right? Life carries on, right? So I think a lot of because of our changing economic landscape, right? A lot of more and more people are in the thinking economy. You use your brain, and it's very hard to separate your brain from your life.
Correct.
Once you're out of the office, you still think about it.
You always attach.
Right? Yeah, you always attach to your brain. I think so. Right? So you're always there. So why not? Let us institutionalize, some sort of a labor law, that provides sabbaticals, or promote some of these things. So it's beyond just leaves, right? So leaves are more random. Sabbatical could be a structured, you must take 2 weeks. Cannot chop, 1 week. No, it must be a 2-week break. The whole country has to do it, right? And you do it in your own way. Right, and then that could be a mandate. Of course, it's a cost to the employer, but if we understand and we fully embrace the idea,
you're prepared for that eventuality, then we are all better for it lah. Everyone, it's a win-win lah. Yeah.
I can contribute two also, which I think should be easy to implement and very fast, right? The first one would be childcare leave. So I really think that, and I think this has been brought up forward SG. Not just that, but it should be tagged to the number of children. No lah, okay. Mother and father, right? To the parents, but it should be tagged to the number of children. I have still 6 childcare leave, even though I have 2 kids. When I had 1 kid, it was tough. With 2 kids, where the extra time come from? Example, last few weeks ago, both my kids, both hand, foot, mouth disease, all told. Then they don't tow at the same time, right? They spread at different times. So it is a very heavy caregiving cost to most people. If childcare leave can be increased, maybe say mothers now get 6, right? Fathers also 6. So if you 2 kids, then everything split 50-50, whatever. Like you can also decide how you want to split it, but just increase and multiply accordingly.
According to the number of kids,
Yes.
which I think is a fair and logical.
Yes. Of course, the
idea.
cost will be very real. So maybe, I don't know, government could moderate this by maybe say the next 50% is based on a 75% of your pay, not 100%. But there can be trade-offs, but I think at least having that time would help a lot. And the second one, I think this has to be institutionalized, is the cut-off time for childcare. Now it ends at 7, work ends at 6. You don't always get to travel to your childcare within 1 hour. And that leads to a lot of stress for parents.
It does.
And then it also creates a culture whereby they have to leave office on time, sharp. Otherwise, they will miss picking up the kid at childcare and then they get into trouble at the childcare. So that creates the office, the mother always leave the earliest one. But what if it was brought forward? Either ending work hours earlier or delaying childcare collection timing to 8 p.m.
Collection time.
You collect your kid, pick up.
We can collect like pick up like collection.
Pick up. I think that's spot on though. Like, we are always pushing about productivity and commercialization, economics, money. But all of these comes at the trade-off of our mental and emotional health. And that's why we lead to burnout, right? But at the same time, like what you say, there's no infrastructures or systems in place to prevent this or even to help those who are falling into these gaps. Because these gaps weren't even recognized until during the pandemic, where it was brought to the forefront, right? So what policies, I don't think it's a money thing. I mean, there has been some work done there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe like MediShield, they have started to add in a little bit, or they're looking at the mental health stuff, right? Which is a great move. But like, what else can be done to prevent it from even happening in the first place? So I'm not like a policy maker, of course, and I'll never go there. But I had like some ideas, for example.
Don't
be a policy.
Don't say that. Right? After this one, the recruitment email coming. Yes, continue. Yes.
Okay, but like, for example, right? If we think of burnout in terms of caregiving and family, we are asked to let's see how many of our readers agree. But we are all asked to improve ourselves. So you need to do your skills future and upgrade, right? So that you will be adaptable and all that stuff. And on the other hand, you're also encouraged to have a family, right? Then the government give you money for having kids, give you childcare leave, give you tax rebates if you have children. No children, sorry, no tax rebate, pay everything, right? And then on top
Singles
of that,
are penalized in our nation.
Exactly.
Yes.
And don't forget, there's also caregiver aspect. So we are the sandwich generation where we have to start caring and we have to shoulder more of the burden for our parents because we have lesser siblings to share that with. And then wasn't there that case about, the parents who took their kids to court for not giving them allowance, right? And that got passed. So that's also sending a thing. And then there's some filial piety, there's some policy in the government, I don't remember the name, but there is something that basically makes it such that you have to care for your parents lah. And then if it goes down, then okay, fight it out in the court and everything. But there are some protection. The government has this regulation that you can actually seek help from. So it's all pointing to almost 100% in each of these aspects. But you see, that's where the burnout comes in, because if you're 100% at all, then you are just maximizing yourself, pulling yourself to the edges. But what policies can be in place? So like, if I was an employer, one example, right, I would think, okay, execution is hard. But for instance, for all those who have to take time off for childcare leave, right, or all those who have to do caregiving, could it be that the company is then incentivized to promote these kind of policies whereby, okay, then I pay for you, I give you all of that, and you can claim either all or a fraction of it from the government, but then part of that requirement is the employee must also agree that they feel supported. And then the question is, how do you do it in such a way that the company then cannot figure out which employees take yes and which take no? Like maybe the payout is
very hard. Yes.
overall.
It's very hard.
It's tough. Execution is very tough. But things like that could help.
I know what you're saying.
Right? It will encourage people to speak up and dare to say, my employer says that they have a very good culture, pro-family, but I don't feel that's the case. And this is the justification.
No, it's okay. I tell you, in our Singapore way of doing things, right, it will come up with some sort of award award lah, give you award. So this one very good
most
compassionate employer award. Mandate very hard. Okay, so that's a different discussion. But pushing down the mental health part, I mean, is clearly a very big thing that people care about, right? So I do recognize a few things, right? So what if MediSave has that element, right? It's important. It is good part, but it's the infrastructure that is absent. Right, and no amount of insurance can solve infrastructural problem. In other words, there's not enough like mental health practitioners, and it's like like Buangkok Green, right? Like,
it's also
keep changing name, but it's it's there.
It's also the stigma. People are more inclined.
No, I think it's a bit better.
It's changing. It's changing.
I think it's a bit better now.
Yeah.
So it's not just about stigma anymore. It's really about infrastructure. You know, like why cannot every polyclinic have like you know, a few? Because
actually,
now
if you think about it, right? How
did
did the stigma towards mental health and mental wellness change? It was two parts, right? First, it gained viral traction on social media, but the second part is also there was legitimate acknowledgement by the government. Then it started changing. Because, I mean, my view is if we were to turn back time and all that social media stuff happened, but the government didn't do anything, then there's nothing to legitimize this and people would just be like, yeah, you say only lah, you know?
It's just waiting for the groundswell to be at a proper critical mass.
Very swollen.
Very swollen.
And then you go in yes, we endorse
no
this,
choice but to say something about
it. No, and the thing is, I recognize that those things are happening. I think it's good. I want it to be faster. Like, don't test already. Like, enough. It's very clear. Enough. Sorry, I never say that. I never say that. Okay, so it's enough. I think the testing is enough already. Like, it's it's there. It's proven, right? There's just a lot of pain. You know, all the whatever rates are going up, right? So you know, why are we taking so slow to execute, you know, these things, right? Is it because we are not training enough psychiatric, you know, professionals, or we don't have enough mental health professionals or like wellness professionals in the space? Is it a reality, or are we just refusing to put more public fund in a short period of time? Right?
It could also be that people themselves are not motivated to go down that yet because they don't know about the future of this industry. Maybe next time your therapist is ChatGPT, okay?
It's a don't.
Why should I train 10 years of my life to become a therapist if next time I will be...
Yeah, you know? If AI is gonna comfort me.
Exactly.
It's true. No, but we need to pay our mental health professionals well. Like how we pay our teachers. Our teachers are paid quite well. Okay?
In Singapore?
Yeah, in Singapore. Okay. I will argue it's paid quite well. You know, I mean, better if we can remove more administrative work from them, like smaller class size. I think those are good. You know, but if you look at pay, it's not bad lah. Salary wise is okay, but it's a bit overloaded. Yes, that's a different discussion. You know, but we need to pay our mental health professionals, you know, in that same capacity, you know, our medical profession in the same capacity. I think that's a need lah. But also, I don't want mental health to be like too medical. Okay, so I think like recently NParks came out and say they built the spine, the north spine, the rail walkway. I think those are good. Building spaces, putting our budget to build spaces and not just build services to interject. You know, you got problem, you can't look for me. But you can build more spaces, more green spaces. Let me just put it out there. It's very hard to find a silent place in Singapore. It's very hard. Very hard to find quiet places, and there's so much study to prove, you know, sound causes stress. You know, dense cities are very stressful. We know all these things, right? So with all these green initiatives, building the corridor all the way to like, you know, Karangkabut, Cat area, right? But very nice one.
Maybe we should rethink success and the definition of it as balance. And then what can the government do to help us achieve that balance faster or more easily? And for those who are off balance, what help or support can they then get from the system and infrastructure to regain their balance? Not bad.
Not bad. PR campaign approved. Yes.
I don't know, like I would agree balance is part of it, of what budget can come in to like help displace the like productivity and like work-life balance and stuff. I think the other side of the budget, I think, is probably like we said, recognizing that people have different priorities right now. Not everyone is gonna be like looking to make as much money as they can. Not everybody is looking to like flip their houses, that kind of stuff. Not everybody is gonna be staying in Singapore forever lah. I would say that lah. In a more globalized economy right now, I guess the budget has to recognize that people are actually having different long-term goals than what they had last time. Like last time it was just like have a family, blah, 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 like push the economy forward, push the Singapore name forward in Singapore, entrepreneurship, support them and all that. But now I think people are just realizing that there are so many other markers of success where they are just happy. Like you like someone who's like 20 plus, they can just run a YouTube channel, they can run a TikTok channel, they can just be happy that they don't really need to like make a lot of money.
Better not lah. Better not. Better not lah. Yeah. Personal experience very jalan lah. Better not lah. Yeah.
But yeah, there's like a lot of different definitions of what makes you happy right now lah. Right now, what makes me happy right now is just having enough money to support my lifestyle, enough money to feed my cats, enough money to like give some allowance to my parents, that kind of stuff. And if it doesn't go anywhere above this, honestly, I'm like happy. Yeah, as long as I'm happy, like living in my house, having a couple like nice dinners like each month, that kind of stuff, that's okay. It looks very different for every other people, and that's what maybe the budget can kind of like recognize lah, be aware of.
So you see how everything that you said, right, was money.
Is it money?
Yeah, literally every sentence or every aspect that you mentioned was money for something. So maybe that's where the budget can be allocated in a way.
Yeah.
Like, the average person, for instance, we ideally can support our family, support our parents, our kids, and ourselves, right? But that may not be the case for many people. Or it could be like maybe I could support monetarily, but I don't have the house space or the infrastructure. I don't have someone to take care of, like my parents. They can't live with me because my HDB is too small. Or I have a condo dream, but the condo now very expensive. I only can afford 2 bedrooms. So I no space for them.
Yes.
Yeah, and then how can this still be achieved? What can the government do or allocate for in the budget towards infrastructure to help people get this balance back?
And actually, there's one very big infrastructure budget that they allocated. They buy back the stadium.
National?
The national stadium. The sports stadium. Actually, I'm a supporter. Right,
You're a supporter of that?
I supported that. I think nationalizing, a lot of this infrastructure is not a bad thing. Right, it reduces profit motive, and then you can do so much more. And of course the parameter of success then is redefined. Right, I always tell people I love Bishan Park. Okay, Bishan Park saved my life during the pandemic. Okay, and if Bishan Park was run by CapitaLand, there'll be a pop-up kiosk every corner. Okay, so that's what I tell people. Right, so that's the difference between private interest and public interest. If we reduce the private interest, right, means we reduce the need for profit. Okay, although we must have some sort of a profit for rejuvenation. I think that's the core idea in a lot of public policies.
Profit will always be needed for those who are willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
But we need to have more of the public side.
Yes.
And I think for our generation, for instance, one thing looking forward is aging population is a very big problem, but there really is not enough infrastructure. And the older generation got away with that problem because their solution was the parents stay with them. Back then, HDB houses were still big.
Bigger.
Yes.
Yeah, so still got space. Now, no space.
No space. Very, very hard, really.
So, can the government... Maybe one way is nationalizing spaces.
Shift everybody to Tengah.
Building more.
All go Sembawang.
I thought that
build jumbo
HDB in the West, which they tried to pioneer, right? All the elderly in one block, with all the caregiving services. I thought that was a great idea, but the trade-off, the downside is only one.
But
how many can qualify?
I would argue that is a pilot.
Yeah, it was a pilot.
I would argue that is a pilot.
More could be. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who agrees that was good. Yeah, but a lot of that also, right, is for healthy, active aging. What about those who are not?
Yeah.
Those who need someone to wheel them around. Then how? The infrastructure now doesn't exist.
So you would then define Singapore's success, or your own success with the country being able to take care of your parents on some level?
No, I would
so that you
define
can
it
elevate
as
yourself to
how the
pursue
country
more.
helps each individual to achieve the balance they need in their life.
Yeah, I would agree also. Like, it doesn't have to be a specific like age group. It doesn't have to be specific like niche subset of the society lah. As long as you are providing enough for everyone to be at a sustainable happiness, sustainable cost of living, that kind of stuff. As long as you have that, I think that is a success of a country's policies.
So okay, then the standard argument is: are you willing to pay more?
Pay more taxes for that,
Are you willing to pay more? More tax, more costs. You want human rights, right? Okay, rights. Then how? Who
Let's
pay?
go
Right,
the Finland way.
Yeah, we're going there, right? So are you willing to pay more? I mean, we can of course break down the argument. Okay, like you don't need to say you agree. I mean, you can break down the argument because I think there are bases to break down some of those arguments. But are you willing to pay more? Yeah, standard argument is where's the money coming from?
I want to bring out, if you all have seen the Woke Salaryman's latest sponsored piece by MOF on taxes and where
Is
they
it?
go.
Yeah.
It was a very good piece. And but what was more interesting was seeing the comment section. A lot of people were happy with paying taxes. Because the comics help them to understand where the taxes are going towards and how they help other people. So I think people understand the impact of their taxes and how it helps not just them but other people as well. They'll be more willing to pay more. The problem now is that it's very individualistic mindset because whatever generation you call it, strawberry, durian, we're all brought up and pampered until we only think of ourselves. So more communication needs to be done to help us understand that we're just a part of larger society as well, and your taxes help that. So in my aspect, for instance, if I could get more support, like what I struggle with, the pillars I struggle with would be caring for aging parents and childcare support. Because I have 2 kids and it's very hard for me to pursue a career while raising my 2 kids to, be able to not fall behind in their academics, be, decent human beings and with good values and all that is very tough. If I could get more balance from the system or more support from the system will help me get those areas into balance, I'll be happy paying more taxes.
Yeah, because one of our hosts actually, that hosts another show on TFC, he actually said that he was like, I can increase my income tax by 5% if you give me free education and lifelong free education so that I can keep going back to school and learn as and when I want.
Or for
I can
his
pay
kids.
you more. Yeah,
so
for
don't
his
have
kids,
to worry
right? So
about
then you give me
university fees,
free
right?
education, you don't monetize that part, and then I can pay more tax. I'm okay.
Yeah, actually, I love those ideas. I will pay more taxes as long as you are very transparent about like where my money is going towards to.
And the impact of it,
And the
right?
impact of it. Like for example, like I hate like every year I have to like put in a lot like some that kind of money to the government, right? But I hate it because I don't know where it's going. It's just going towards an unnamed, or it's named lah, but I just don't know like what exactly is gonna benefit lah. And I will also speak from my own perspective lah, like as a person of my ethnic community. Like if I know that it's gonna be benefit, if I have to pay more just to ensure like the people in the not so privileged as I am, they can get to the kind of the same level as me or kind of like give them the same opportunities that maybe they didn't have that I had. If they did, then I would be happy to like give more money lah.
Actually have what?
Sorry?
Like scholarships. There are some community chests around that, right? To
Yeah.
the team that you subscribe to.
But the reality is a bit...
And it's very means tested lah, and it's means tested by grades, not even like by means.
Yeah.
Right, so it's like, but it's different when it's a universal policy where it's free. Like, okay, so you want to study, you can get the grades. Okay, you go in free. No need to care about it. And then it essentially reduces the friction to do it, right? In that sense.
Putting it out here, if that guest said 5% more for free education, would you all be willing to pay 10% more taxes today if you get both free education and aging parents taken care of? Which includes yourself next time when you become the age, you'll be taken care of.
Oh, if it benefits me, yeah,
Will you
sure.
pay? 20%?
I don't know that one. 10% I think is okay. 20% is a bit.
15%?
I don't know. Maybe we must take a look at the
Numbers.
numbers. Essentially, I think the idea here is not about the exact, but I get your point. There's a price to it, right? There's exactly a price to it, but it's not about a specific number, but the willingness to then explore these policies. I don't even think is in our psyche on either side. It's not like PAP or opposition. Nobody is pushing this kind of idea, or at least nobody in the house is pushing this kind of ideas, right? Even the opposition is very scared lah. Like they don't want to be seen as not prudent.
I think you need to join the house lah. Then you push for the ideas.
No, it's fine. I don't. But if you want, my email is here. Okay, you can send me recruitment email lah. Yeah, but the idea, I think I get it, right? It is there is a price to it, and we need to, as a society, come to it, like so that we are okay with it, right? But is there one thing that you feel that the government has spent more over the years that you think is like not good?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough.
Of course, I'm professional. I ask tough questions.
Spending too much on Gardens by the Bay.
Personally, for me, I will hope that we can be a little bit more transparent about our tax credits for companies.
I don't know.
Like we bring in like big companies, big MNCs all over the world, all in the story of like they will bring jobs, which is not wrong. They do bring some jobs. Right?
So you're targeting the EDB lah.
I'm not targeting. Okay, wait, I want sponsor. Okay, I'm not targeting. Okay, but the idea here is
how much do they spend
yes, how
in
much
showing all these
because
people?
because from what I know, they can go as far as just giving you the office space.
Yep.
because we through our land reform, a lot of land can be classified as their state land, right? So we can classify as state land and not charge anything if we want to, right? Tuas or whatever lah, right?
Adding
So
on
like,
to that, there's another one also, which is how much do they spend in bringing in the foreign students, and how much of them actually do stay on to contribute back. More than the dollar value. What CAC, cost of acquiring, not customer,
cost acquisition.
but
Customer acquisition
not customer,
cost, yes.
but foreigner,
Yes,
CAF.
Yeah, but I think for me, I would be a bit more cautious on that end of things lah. For me, I'm pro on the side of like let the foreign talents come in, because I think for me, in my own personal experience, they are always providing added value to like what you're doing, your work, your perspectives in life, your perspective in the world. Because I really like my pet peeve is like you're really like in this whole bubble of being Singaporean. You're not really like worldly in your views, you're not really worldly in your perspectives and all that. So like in terms of
some people are otherworldly,
like supernatural
out of this world, yes.
But yeah, like in terms of like foreign talent and like foreign students and all that, I am okay with it, as long as it doesn't, I mean, so far it hasn't really like disturbed the ecosystem of like people who want to work in certain jobs. But
really,
no,
I don't know.
Are you okay?
I don't
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not against it. I think it's debatable. I think the speed of inflow is quite
speed.
So the rate of inflow is very
the pace lah.
The pace is very high.
Right.
So and to be fair, I'm not. Well, I feel very like borderline kind of cancer already, It's
It's easier to discuss where they should be spending more on rather than
like where should we cut, right?
criticizing.
Because we always say we want more, and I think everybody.
I think the cut always
realizes,
only appears obvious on hindsight. Like when the critics say, "Oh, they spend too much building the museum or this stuff," then it's a hindsight.
You have to wait for a couple of years to like see whether.
Yeah, I mean it's
because only time would then justify the investment whether it pays off. Then if it never pay off, then they gonna right pay off, then good.
Yeah.
So that's tough. Yeah, but I think the better question here would be more of since we don't have that foresight, then what can we do to potentially spend more while funding it accordingly?
I think we went one round to talk about what is success, what do we think the state can do more, like balance and not like everything just pure Excel, all that, which I broadly agree, right? So what is a nation, like what is a Singapore you want to leave for your next generation?
A Singapore like dream sequence of Singapore would be a place where everyone is welcome, in terms of like whatever your perspectives. I mean, not the objectively wrong perspectives, but like whatever dreams that you may have, it may be like as simple as like just wanting to be a housewife, want to be a house husband, taking care of your kids, or it can be as lofty as like you want to be like the biggest like YouTuber in the world, that kind of stuff. It's very soft goals lah, these are soft ambitions, but if we have that environment to inculcate that kind of like talents, that kind of like opportunities for people, that would be the success for me lah.
I'll distill mine to 3 words: inclusive, recognized, and compensated. So one whereby every child, every person, regardless of how different or unique they are, they will still feel accepted, right? Whether it's LGBT or wanting to pursue an unconventional career or even cosplaying a lot, whatever it is, just unconventional, that should be accepted. Don't have to be celebrated, but accepted, no stigma. So that would be the inclusiveness part. The second one would be in terms of recognition, right? So for them to be able to recognize what their own value is, and for society to recognize the value that they are contributing through their work and the things that they choose to do. Like Simon Sinek always preaches this thing called the infinite game, whereby everybody has a unique set of talents that you can bring to the world. The challenge is not everyone is groomed to make this happen. So a country where that can happen and it's facilitated through the education system, through jobs and the economy, I think that would be really beautiful. Then the last one, of course, going back to what you said, everything must be compensated, right? You add value, you must be compensated evenly enough to be able to live your lifestyle without too much financial pain. Yeah. And part of that could come from financial literacy. Like, maybe the government can enforce a little more to help people avoid big financial mistakes that could lead to ruin. Don't necessarily have to teach them how to succeed a lot in the financial world, because that's not something that everyone can go towards also, but at least avoiding the ruin and scams would go a very big way already.
For a moment, I thought you're running beauty pageant already. All inclusive,
Not beautiful
all like
enough.
about that. Then after that, the practical side coming. Oh, okay. Budget babe, huh?
Because
Yes.
it was very, one thing that really struck me in this conversation was how when you were talking about it, every sentence was money. And I think we can't run away from that, being Singapore.
Yeah.
Being Singaporean, it's always been like in, I wouldn't say in our blood, but we kind of grow up with that perspective, right? Like everything has to be compensated. Everything has to have value. Everything has to have like a monetary reward, that kind of stuff. Maybe that.
Even doing well in school got reward, right? You save award, got money. Doing well in your NAFA also got money.
Correct. Yeah. Who among all of us, who doesn't like to see a healthy bank account, lah? Yeah.
And that removes the stress. So it helps people to achieve the balance better as well.
Correct. Yeah.
Fair. And in my view, right, there's only one way of life in Singapore. Okay, this is the reality. You can change from one sector to another sector. You freelance, part-time, full-time, start your business. It's all one way. It's the city dweller's life, right? You don't get the suburb experience. You never get the rural experience. You will not be a nomad, right? The country is just too small. It's a city-state.
But having the financial means to be able to get that for yourself if you need to by going out, like to Japan or wherever,
course, that
would be good enough.
It is beautiful that way, right? But the reality, I think, for a lot of people to think about is that, there's a lot of
there's more than
that, but you must first recognize that Singapore is a city. So no matter how you flip-flop prata, right, it is still a city. Your way of life is very city dweller, right? As much as you want to believe that you're not, it's very city, right? So in my view, the city that I want to live for, my next generation probably is a place where you don't feel like you need to be on the hamster wheel all the time. Like you can come down of the hamster wheel and will not die lah. Right? Like, because I think these days we tell people, oh, you should be an entrepreneur, oh, you should pursue your dream, oh, go out there. It's like
you should. Yeah.
How to? It's just hard, impossible. I will argue that it's impossible. For a lot of people, the reality is as such. People ask me how I do what I do, it's like, because I took a break from this city. So then my expenses could slow down. I could do a lot of other things, and then I come back. Right? So and I think that's a big part of the future of Singapore that I hope we can have lah. A place where you pursue, yes, we gotta do all these things, but you don't always need to be on the hamster wheel. You can come down and take a break and think about it lah, and then you
so just less pressure cooker environment lah.
Yeah, maybe more also like unemployment insurance, some of these other things, right, which can all come in, and it's a much bigger discussion.
It's always in the conversation everywhere. Like everyone talks about retirement, everyone talks about investments and all that. But maybe sometimes you don't have to think about that. You just have to think about yourself for some time, and doesn't have to require money at all.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this budget series brought to you by Rice Media and The Financial Coconut. If you like what we do, like, share, subscribe, follow our socials. Everything is in the description below. And meanwhile, take care.